all about event handlers in JavaScript. So let's say here we're gonna have a button, and then we'll use the onClick event here. So let's start with the onClick event. So let's have a button right here, and then I close this. Inside the button we're gonna have the type, and the type will be a button. And inside here, let's write a test, click me, and then we'll have the onClick right here. So onClick, and with the onClick we're gonna have an alert, and then alert will have a test inside. So for the test, let's say hello world. Okay, so good. So I'm gonna save this and then try to run that on the screen. Okay, so onClick, when I click, it needs to tell us hello world. Great. So let's look at the next event. So we're gonna look at having external event handler in a different file, but we're gonna demonstrate that using a test a script in here as an external file. But I mean, we can still have this one be our external file here, which is the index.js. So probably I'm gonna have a function in here real quick. So let me create a function, and with the function I'll call the name of the function say hello. That's the name of the function. And then I'll have the curly bracket open, and inside the curly bracket I'm going to have an alert, and with the alert I'll print something on the screen, which will be the hello world. Okay, all right. So with that one, we need to let me see, let's have our document dot get element by ID, and I'm now gonna state the ID, but let's say our ID is gonna be my btn, simply for a button, and then the event will be dot onClick, and the onClick will be equal to the name of the function, which is say hello, equal to say hello, and I'm gonna end that. Great. So now let's save this and go to our HTML. Inside our HTML, I still have the same button here, but instead to have the onClick here inside, I'll take this one off, and then instead add an ID to it. So let's say we have the same ID we have in the JavaScript, which is my btn. Good. But don't forget to actually import the script. We have to refer to the JS up here. So here we'll use the src, which is the source, and then we'll type index, then we'll select the JS. Now let's save, let's check back real quick in here. So with the JS here, I need to add a curly round bracket here to end that, so it calls the function. Okay, let's quickly test this. I reload, and then it says hello world. I click on it. Let me reload. Okay, let me save this, and then what is it saying? So okay, so we have the click showing up here. Okay, All right, so let's move to the next one where we'll be studying a little bit about handling other click events, which we have already done one. Now we can have a button with a click event. So we can use a link or we can use a button. Now we have tried the one with the button. What if we want to add another one with a link? So let's say we have, instead of a button, let's say we have an anchor tag, which is the A tag. So, and with the A tag we can have a hyperreference, which is the href, and then we don't have any link, but let me just put a pounds a hash sign there, and then I do the onClick. The onClick is not supposed to be here. Let me add click me here instead of onClick, and then we add the onClick here. Okay, so with the onClick, I'll have the alert there, and then I'll have what it will show on the alert here. So we say you clicked. Okay, great. So let's run that and see the link. Then it says what you click, and where we have to right click before the alert actually shows up. So here, instead of on click, we can do on context menu, here, and we can say right click. So right click should trigger the event. Okay, so we can do this to a button, both a button, and then did I save that? Here I did not change it, so it was a little bit confusing. So here we can say right click. Okay, so I reload. So here, when we click, nothing happens. When we hover, nothing happens. But when I do right click, then it just opens. So the right click also opens with it. I click, nothing happens. Right click, and then the event triggers. So that is how we can do the on context menu. So very simple to do that. Now let's look at on mouse. So anytime we hover on the mouse, it should actually trigger the event. This same thing I'm doing with a link can also be done with a button. So let me add a button here so we have both to demonstrate. So I have button here, and in this let me add the type, which is button, and then we're gonna have a mouse click. So anytime the mouse hovers, so we have mouse up, mouse enter, mouse leave, mouse move, mouse out. So let's do the mouse hover, then we can do other on clicks as well. So let's keep it a little bit simple, and the other ones you can experiment the other ones later as I just showed you. So this is gonna be, instead of right click, this is gonna be mouse over. So let's say over, or here mouse over. Okay, so here let me change this side, that is the link, to also mouse over. Okay, we have the alert inside. So let me reload this page. Okay, so we have, the button is actually not showing well because I don't have anything here. So let me just put the mouse over there so the button shows. Let me go back. What did I copy? Let me just type it in here. Mouse over. Okay, the same thing needs to be for the link side. Okay, so let's go. Now we have mouse over. I just hover my mouse over the link, and then the action triggers. Over the button, then the action triggers. So, and then we could have another way of doing it, that is the mouse out. So I showed you there's a lot. So here, for example, we can have on mouse, and then you can see we do on mouse fill, on mouse setup. All these ones is on pointer move and all this. So you can experiment all this later as you code as well. Then we have the key. So instead to use mouse, we can now trigger events using keys. So for example, instead of using the mouse, we can use keys. Okay, so for this, let's try to use an input. An input here. So let's say we're using, let me clear this first. We're using input, and with the input we'll have type, and the type is test. So then we're gonna use the on key down. Means anytime we use the keyboard down, it's gonna trigger some form of alert for us. So let's say you pressed the down key. Okay, all right, so now we have you press the down key. Now let me save, so we check that real quick. So in here, if I do anything and I press the down key, then it shows. If I press down any key, then it just goes. Okay, so this is the hover, and this is a press of a key. So any key I press, it's gonna simply trigger that event. So we have press down, and then we have press up. So that one, anytime we releases something, like we releases a key on the keyboard up, then it's gonna trigger the event. So there are so many ways we can trigger events. So when we check the on key, you could see the press down, press, and then press up. So you see there are so many, there are so many ways you can trigger this event there. So that is how the event works. But this can be very useful in most of the things you do. So we have on press down, on press up, key press, and all of them are gonna be really useful in your future projects. So let's look at focus. We want to experiment with focus here, and with that one we'll be having a script here in our code, and inside a script we'll be having a simple function, which is no, this is not gonna be anonymous. We can simply say highlight, which is the name of the function. Okay, so with this highlight, what we'll pass in here is ELM, and that is gonna help us with the focus. So let's watch here. Inside here we'll call the ELM and then dot style dot background. So dot background, and we'll say it's equal to any color. So let's choose yellow. So and then I and this. Okay, so next we're gonna have an input outside the script. So let's say we have an input, and then we're gonna have an input type. So let's start with the type, and then the type is gonna be a text. So and with the text, what we'll do is we'll use the event on focus. So on focus, and then we'll call the name of the function here, and then we'll refer to this. Okay, so let's save this and then try it here. Okay, so now we have this. Anytime I put the cursor in there, it shows what? Yellow. If I reload the page, it's white, but if I show it, nothing happens. But immediately I click inside the input, it turns yellow. That means it's showing on focus. And this color can change. We can choose any kind of color we want to use, like red, and then anytime it's focused, it changes. So this is also one useful thing to help the user experience be, really cool for users who are using your application. So we can also have what we call handling the blur event. So we can click inside a text box and outside to see how it works. So I'm gonna use the on blur here. So instead of the on focus, I'll do on blur. All right, and I reload. So reload. When I click outside, when I click inside, nothing happens, but when I click outside, the color shows. So it makes the input inside on blur. So this is one of the action events you can also use in your project. Okay, so let's look at how to trigger event based on change. So if you want to have a form of a select options in a drop down menu, anytime we select something, then some action should display, so that we can simply use a select tag. So let's say select, and with the select, we're gonna have some options in the select. So let's say, no, not group option. So let's say we have first option, we'll write something like select something. Second option should be this second option, let's say is a male, and the third option It's a female. Okay, so for this female and male will be the selection. Okay, then let's actually add the event here, which is called onChange. And onChange will have an alert, and this alert will show something to us on the screen. So you can say change selected, then I save. Now let's try that real quick. So anytime I select something, it says change selected. So male, female, change selected.